Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Race to 100. I am Rick Thorcell.
And I'm Neil Patek. Thank you for tuning in.
And we are on episode number 48.
Episode number 48. How you feeling, Rick?
I'm good, man. It's decent weather out right now.
It's a beautiful
little hot,
day.
little humid.
It's a
You know,
beautiful
you're back, getting into the swing of things.
Getting
From
back
Cali.
into from Cali.
Beautiful Cali.
Have you been to Cali? You have been to
I
Cali.
have been to Cali.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful place.
Beautiful place.
And it doesn't really matter where you travel in this country. There is the conversation going on about gun violence. You see how that transition
That was
worked
smooth.
right there?
A
Thank
smooth
you.
segue.
Absolutely. So, the Orlando mass shooting has been something we've covered in a couple of episodes. You can catch our previous episodes in the links above. But the conversation about access to guns is something that is an ongoing conversation that the Senate and the House of Representatives have constantly tried to engage with, and it's always been a point of contention because the all-powerful NRA is able to more or less control everything related to access to guns. The point of, did you know that those people on the terrorist watch list can buy firearms?
I didn't know that until you mentioned it to me 5 minutes ago. To me, that's inconceivable. Like, if you've got crazy issues and are on a terrorist watch list, how...
Wait, say that again? A terrorist?
I was saying, if you're on a terrorist watch list, how the hell are you able to purchase a firearm?
Now,
It doesn't make sense to me.
the argument for the NRA is that there are people on the terrorist watch list who don't belong on the terrorist watch list, so why in the world would anyone try and infringe upon the rights of people who have been mistakenly placed on the terrorist watch list? Which does happen. I mean, there are people with, like, say your name is Muhammad Ali or something like that, and you have the same name as somebody else who has terrorist affiliations, and your names get mixed up and you end up getting put on the terrorist watch list. They're saying that shouldn't prohibit your right to be able to get a gun.
Now, if you've been added to this list, can you, will the government notify you? Will they send you a letter?
No.
So
No.
There's no way of knowing
There's
that
no
you're on
way
the
until
list?
you try to fly that you are on the terrorist watch list.
Really?
Correct.
I guess that's pretty weird. I didn't know that you could be added to
It's a
this.
super secret list.
Yeah.
And so there's like this whole argument is like there's a 3-day wait period, in most instances where you have to wait 3 days to be able to pass a background check and buy a gun. Now, those who are in favor of gun regulation say that 72 hours is not enough time for, say, you are a suspected terrorist, for the government to build a case against you in that 3-day window.
So talk about what happened in the Senate recently.
So last week, it was on Thursday, I believe, a senator from Connecticut ended up getting up on the Senate floor after it was 2 p.m. or something.
A Democrat, right?
A Democrat from Connecticut ended up speaking for 15 hours on the need to impose. Well, what he wanted to do was to limit the sale of assault rifles and those who are on the terrorist watch list being able to buy weapons. So It was like something very small. It was very basic. And the most frustrating thing for me is that the NRA has transitioned from this gun safety organization. It used to be a
Which is what I remember.
hunters.
Yes. Which is what I remember it being like in the 90s. A lot of my friends that I knew in school, they had fathers that would go on hunting trips, and they would say hey, they say, Neil, ask your parents if you would like to go on a hunting trip with us. And my parents were never really cool with us playing with guns or being around this. So my dad would say, no, it's just a thing that my family we stand for, so please watch out for that. And I remember my friend telling me about the NRA and how it was a group for gun safety and knowing how to properly use a firearm, how to defend yourself in the event of an emergency.
And then this douche comes along named Wayne LaPierre. and he ends up usurping and taking over the leadership of the NRA and making it this political organization that wants to eliminate all regulation on any sort of guns. They, if they had their way,
That sounds like a pretty douchey name, though. Like, I don't know anything about it, but his name is Dwayne LaPierre.
Oh my goodness! If you listen to, and part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this was that on Sunday he was making his rounds in the Sunday news. That man drives me absolutely insane. If he had his way, he would make sure that everyone had a rocket launcher in their garage.
Shout out to Dwayne LaPierre.
Wayne LaPierre.
Oh, he's from Texas?
I have no idea.
Is he in Texas?
He doesn't have an accent as far as I know.
Oh my goodness.
Sounds Cajun more than anything else.
That's crazy. Okay, so he's the head of the NRA.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's been the president for like 3 decades or something like that. So my thing is, and no one seems to be able to make this argument. So there's this whole thing, like he literally said, Hillary Clinton wants to take away all your guns. He literally said that. Now, that is in no way factually true. Not one of those words is factually true. And yet, not a single person is able to say, that is not true. Like, that is not true. Nothing in what Hillary Clinton has proposed or ever proposes or could conceivably happen, that would ever be the case. Ever. That will not and cannot happen. And yet, he goes around saying that because he's a fearmonger. And people like that drive me insane. And no one is able to make the point. It's like, okay, so we don't want to take away your rights to guns. I think that there's this misconception that, like, Democrats, for example, want to take away your guns and all that. Why not extend the wait period to, like, 2 weeks? What conceivable need would there be within a 3-day window to be able to purchase a firearm? Why not have it, like, a 2-week window or whatever the government would need to be able to accurately ensure that psychopaths don't get their hands on weapons. And yet they're opposed to any sort of restriction on that. And they want everyone to have a weapon. Doesn't matter if you're crazy, doesn't matter if you're sane, doesn't matter if you're drunk, doesn't matter if you're whatever. They want everyone to have a gun.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
I'm going to ask you a question. Do you believe that civilians should have the right to bear arms?
Well, in what capacity? In the same way that, like, the First Amendment,
you're entitled to freedom. Like I personally do not believe civilians should have the rights to bear arms. That's just me. I could be incorrect. I'm not going to say why or how, but that's just me personally.
I think you should, because here's my analogy. In the same way that the First Amendment allows for the freedom of speech, the Supreme Court has ruled that you cannot go into a crowded movie theater and yell fire.
Exactly.
That does not constitute
freedom of speech within reason. Civilians should have the right to bear arms within reason.
Yes. And again,
that's reasonable.
Yeah. And it seems like there is this just resistance to any sort of reason when it comes to the NRA, when it comes to gun proponents. And it's such a powerful lobby, man. It can single-handedly defeat these senatorial and congressional candidates single-handedly. If a Republican steps out of line, the NRA just pours in all of this money and kicks him out of office.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It is like
I've been
by its definition crazy.
I've been briefed. I've been schooled and
you've been served.
He said. That's funny. Wayne LaPierre, I've never seen you this passionate. I never thought you'd ever insult anybody on camera.
Yeah, this is one man I truly despise. I think that he is the embodiment of badness, in the same way that, like, Westboro Baptist Church is. Do you know what Westboro Baptist Church is?
Tell the viewers, I don't know.
It's the crazy church that ends up saying, like, God hates fags and all that. They make the news all the time.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Really radical folk.
Yeah, so
okay.
I think that I dislike Wayne LaPierre more than I dislike Westboro Baptist Church. Okay. Honestly. That's how much I just despise this individual. Because he's making America worse.
Well then, you guys heard what Rick had to say. You heard about
Wayne LaPierre. Please feel free to come on Straight Up. I'd love to have a conversation with you, even if you just can't even.
I don't know if you want to have a conversation with the brother. Or,
I would love to have a conversation with the man.
Or a boxing match,
because
we got to get you ready to ball.
When it comes down to it, if he is able to articulate a sane view of his positions, then fine. but from everything that I've heard, he is incapable of arguing anything in the sane line of thought. And it is so frustrating to hear him over and over again say things like, Obama hates America, Hillary Clinton is going to go into all of your houses and take all of your guns out of your cabinets and closets. It's like, you're an idiot. You're a liar. You are a pathological liar and a fearmonger and just filled with hatred, and I really, really dislike you.
So yeah, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Race to 100. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe.
Just had to get that off my chest, man.
None of this would have been possible without you guys. We appreciate everything you've been doing, all the support. Rix, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think I've said everything that I want to say.
So we will catch you next time on the Race to 100.
Peace.